As we stand on the brink of a brand new year, it's the perfect time to pause, reflect, and envision the incredible possibilities that lie ahead in 2025. We're diving deep into a conversation that's all about crafting your best year yet. We'll explore transformational thinking, innovative approaches to goal setting, and the power of meaningful connections, all essential ingredients to making this year truly unforgettable. Joining us, join us as we explore some amazing concept, insight, experiences, and actionable strategies that you can apply in your own life. Throughout our discussion, we'll challenge traditional notions of success, talk about the importance of embracing change, and guide you in creating a personal development plan that resonates with your unique journey. As we navigate these topics, we encourage you to reflect on your own experiences and consider how embracing these ideas can lead to profound personal growth. So, whether you're looking to deepen your relationships, enhance your personal development, or simply live life to the fullest, this episode is packed with inspiration. Get ready for a transformative journey as we empower you to flourish in every aspect of your life. Let's make 2025 a year filled with joy, growth, and unforgettable memories. Now, without further ado, let's jump into this first talking point about transformational mindset. And I want to kind of present my brothers with a question because I think that's going to be ideal to kickstart this conversation. Now, as you guys always know, this is the Empowering Perspective YouTube channel. And so we believe that we are all subject matter experts of our own perspective. We're not telling you that what we're telling you is the guy honest 100% and the only way to do a thing. We're saying that this is our perspective about some things. And we hope that our perspectives can kind of shine a light on your own journey and on your life. So, gentlemen, as we get ready for this, I want to kind of throw this in your lap, and I want everybody else to kind of consider this as we get ready to go forward. If you could go back in time and redefine success for the younger version of yourself, what would that look like, and how might it have changed your life path? There's a lot to unpack there. I know it.
I
Anybody?
think for me, the younger version, I would tell myself that it's not about having all the money or having the status or having the position. seek seek peace of mind, seek to know thyself and to know thy creator. Because when you have all those things, everything else comes full circle in its time. I think we focus too much on being in a rat race and trying to make sure we have this and the kids get that, and we don't walk it where we can actually spend time and learn one another. We just go through life, and then you get older and you're like, man, I really don't know this person I'm either laying next to, or I don't know my children like I should. I don't know the people that I consider my friends, because we've always been in the midst of actually trying to accomplish a goal instead of being and learning.
But before you go, I still want you to answer the first part of this question, right? If you could go back in time and redefine success for your younger version of yourself, what would that look like?
Peace.
Okay.
Well, he ended where I was going anyway. So for me, it was you don't have to lose your peace or your mental stability in order to still do well for others. Um, and and uh, and that's important. Like if I'm going to my younger self, like if I'm at my teenage years, I'm not there yet, but in a place to where I begin to find when life starts looking like it can finally click together, things begin to actually look like life can work out. Then all of a sudden, this person develops who just loves to do for others, right? In relationships, I've gone all in, doing everything that I can do for the other person, and sometimes that comes to the cost of your own peace because when people are unappreciative, you I, that person it sometimes it feels as if you cannot protect yourself and keep your peace in your own mind and in your life. And so a lot of times you opt out of conflict and so you allow people to continue to treat you however. And 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 I learned sometimes you got to let people know that they treat you wrong because people get comfortable with you when they know that you're there for them, when they know that you got their back. They get comfortable and they forget to appreciate you. And sometimes you got to remind people, hey, you ain't you ain't doing right, Bobby. You know, and I don't need you to reciprocate the exact same energy I'm pushing because I'm me. You can't be who I am in a relationship, but you got to show up. And so a lot of times there's a friendships, relationships, everything. It's been a lot of times where I got silently frustrated because I needed the other person to show up, and I just didn't voice it. I thought I was I'm allowing myself to change, or I'm losing my peace in order to stand ground and hold my boundaries.
Mm. I like both of those. And I'm also loving what I'm seeing in the chat as well. Before I give my response, make sure that whatever platform you're on, you hit the like button. You can hit the like button or turn it into a heart. We appreciate hearts as well. To this question, I think, along with everything that you guys said, I think for me, redefining success for me will incorporate progression. It would encompass progression and whatever it is, whatever we're talking about. If we're talking about career goals, progression. If we're talking about relationships, progression. If we're talking about anything else, regardless of whatever it is, the success is defined by progression. And then with the understanding of success being defined as progression, it kind of alleviates the pressure of reaching some sort of status, some sort of pinnacle that you have in your head about what success is defined as. And because it removes that, from the notion of success, now it kind of allows you to appreciate the incremental steps that you need to take to get to whatever pinnacle that you decide. Um, and I think it would have changed my life path because I would have learned at an earlier age not to be so hard on myself. I think I placed a lot of unnecessary pressures on myself in all aspects, whether it was looking at what I was doing and comparing it to people that I was in high school with or went to high school with, or looking at what I was trying to do and comparing it to what people said, one, that I couldn't do, or what they said, what ceiling that they gave for me in my life about what I could accomplish. And so, in that concept of success being kind of like a progressive realization of a worthy idea from the words of Earl Nightingale, it kind of helped me to understand that success is found incrementally throughout time, and it will change as I allow myself to grow. Now, incorporating the concept of peace, like Roland said, I think is necessary, and that kind of ties into what I think Lisa said about understanding the principles of our Creator. Um, you know, incorporating that into my life because at an early age, I'm not going to lie, I kind of struggled with this thing called anger. And that probably was due to based upon having absentee father in my life and then, so forth and so on. So now when you look at those things, it allowed me to look at whatever life presented. It would have allowed me to look at whatever life presented to me and say, it's okay. It's okay that this person is here. It's okay that I didn't have the latest pair of Jordans and my friends got them at school. It's okay that, you know what, I was a second time go when it come down to college. First time I kind of say I bowed out gracefully because it just wasn't for me at that particular point in time. Um, so all of those things would have shaped my life path to such a degree that I would have been more open to what life presented to me as opposed to being resistant to the things that I did not want. Your thoughts in relation to anything that you heard by anybody on this panel so far?
I was listening to both of you guys, and I think what we're saying kind of it's like rungs on the ladder. They go hand in hand, and that's why when listening to people speak their truth or speak certain narratives, you can't always take from them and add it to your pot. But when you surround yourself with thinkers that move in a position like you said, move. I forgot how you phrase it. You said move forward, move ahead. when you looking at people like that, you can always take something from them and see where you could do better in whatever aspect of your life that you're doing. So when we're asking this question about how we view success, I'm sure it's not one-sided on either of us. Where when you were talking, I was like, man, I like that. I could add that to my definition, my view of success. When Gaddy was talking, it's the same way. And I think surrounding myself with forward-thinking friends at an early age would have done wonders for me.
Man, you know what's crazy though? The younger me, I feel Coach when he talks about the anger management thing, because that was me, right? If you catch me, if you catch me off guard with my anger today, I have to remind myself, how far I come and pull myself back, because I like to put pause. I don't like to argue. I think arguing for little girls. You know what I'm saying? So like, so I feel you, and because of that, I don't think that I was ready for forward thinking friends. I've had some friends in the past that I thought were weird, and that I thought not even just weird. They weren't street enough. They weren't hood enough. They weren't from. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was awkward because for me, I thought changing was what we talked about a few months back. I thought you trying to make me code switch. You know what I mean? Um, this is where I'm from. This is how I'm going to act. This is me. And if y'all don't accept that, whatever. But those are things that I don't think that I was ready for those forward thinking friends. And
Do
so
you
I've rejected a lot of them.
do you think that could be because of the influences that you had at that particular point in time? Because I'm agreeing with you. I don't think I was ready for it either, but I don't think I had a lot of forward thinking friends during that time.
That's that's interesting because so I had mixed influences, right? Especially when I joined the military. That's when I was ready to leave New York. I got up and got two things, got gone. But I think it was the influences from the past. You know, the thing what I saw growing up. Because in my mind, to be honest with you, I saw myself in the military, retiring and going back to New York just with money. You know, but you get exposed to some different things as you grow up. So I don't know. I don't maybe like you said, maybe the people who influenced me coming up, maybe. But at that time, I didn't. All my influences were military, and I don't even think they were influences because I was trying to do me. I thought I had all the answers.
Yeah, I think, and that kind of gets after the core of what we're talking about, right? Because a lot of our influences, if you will, especially when you get to a certain point, like a lot of the people that we surround ourselves with is because we choose to surround ourselves with those people. It's like you could take a person, I'm gonna use this as an example. You can take a person out of the hood and put them in a brand new state, and I promise you they're gonna go find the hood unless you isolate them in a place to where there is no hood. But I promise you they're gonna go find one, and that's what we're gonna hang out at. And that's not to speak bad about the hood at all. I'm just saying I think even in, and I'm speaking from me when I look over back at my experiences, the people that I surrounded myself with prior to joining the army, I think I kind of surrounded myself with those same types of people after joining the army. And that just could have been me. It could not have been the same for you guys, but I think that's just what people do. And so those forward thinking friends, like Roland said, I greatly appreciate that. Those forward thinking friends, I think they were there. They just weren't friends of mine. And unfortunately, they could have been talking about a thing and it may have sounded interesting at that particular point in time, but because my mind was not there, it wasn't conditioned to hear that, or it did not have a desire to hear that, then I would not make that a part of my circle. And so I think that's kind of like what this conversation is really about, because we're talking about crafting, like creating, building, structuring. you like the best year moving forward? Like 2025, I believe, has the potential to be the best year that anybody on this platform, anybody that's hearing what we're talking about, it can be the best year that you've ever experienced. But you get to define what that looks like based upon the things that we're going to talk about moving forward. So I greatly appreciate you guys. Let me kind of see what some people in the chats is talking about, because I know I've seen some great responses. Like I mentioned, Lisa mentioned understanding the principles of our Creator, which is life saving. Thankful the Holy Spirit for the current level of understanding and my continual growth. Thank you, Miss Lisa. Let's see. Nick D said I would have put a greater priority on building meaningful relationships rather than just academic career success. It would look like me realizing both things can be true simultaneously. And I think that's kind of like the point that we're getting at, right? Everything is available to you, but I think what we end up doing is we treat our life like some type of valve system. We cut this off so we can have this flow at full bore. And then in our mind, like once we get here, once we achieve a certain level of success, then we open the valve over here and we're like, you should have been waiting. Where you been? I've been looking for you the whole time. Like, what's going on? Why is this taking so long? So thank you for that. Miss Nodella, I'm not going to pronounce your middle name, Jordan, said, work on my self-confidence. It would have it would have changed my life by not connecting with the wrong people, being in toxic relationship, and getting healed from hurts. Yep, absolutely. I agree with that. Success is serving others and being consciously aware that honesty is available because we have a helper who would teach us and guide us when we simply ask and seek. Brother Abe, good to see you. As always, from time to time, we must look inward and consider redefining success as it pertains to our individual life. After all, what's the point of success if you can't enjoy it? I do like that. Thank you for that. Let me see. Last one is his divine appointment said, for me, I would manage my hurt and anger, also desiring better relationship with my loved ones. Absolutely. So I think as you look at this, we all kind of have, like Roland said, some similar answers. It just looks slightly different for each person. But I think as time progresses, we start incorporating those differences into our responses. And so that's what that looks like. So for me, I kind of want to move forward, and we're going to talk about this thing called a transformational mindset, embracing a growth oriented approach. And I think this is important when we go forward, because I really want us to understand something as it pertains to it. So, how would you describe the concept of a transformational mindset, and how can it aid me in creating a great year? Yeah, I think you first on this one, bro.
Describe the concept of a transformational mindset. Ooh, the concept is for me. I'm gonna give my personal answer. We'll start with you don't know everything, and I think that I get that because, like I said, that was an Achilles heel for me. Young, I thought I knew everything, and it was hard for me to take advice because I knew I wanted to do it my way. It was stupid of me, but I was young and dumb, and so I think it starts with in order for to have a transformational mindset, you always got to be willing to learn, and that's pretty much what I'm saying. You have to be willing to gain new information and do the work to make sure that information applies to you, and not just if it applies, because if it does apply, how do I apply it? Just having information is cool, but not knowing how it works, it really is just is just empty knowledge to me, or empty information. So I think it starts there, and then from there, like I think, like Roland said, he was on to something when we talk about having those forward thinking friends or in circles, right? Be around people who can help you grow, who can help your iron sharpen. It can sharpen your iron, and you can sharpen their iron, right? You shouldn't only be one thinking person in the group, right? You should be someone else's thoughts and concepts should help push you forward. And if you have those two, I think that's a good base to start a transformational mindset.
You threw me with this one. And when I seen it, I'm like, okay, transformational mindset. Then I started thinking, I'm like, when I was younger, I would always get shut down when I asked why. It was always because I said so, because I told you to do it. So I adopted that same delivery when my kids or whomever soldiers would ask me why. But I think when a person can't ask why, you can't gain new knowledge. You stuck with what is. I think being able to ask why and formulate thought and develop new thinking around those why is like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. So now when you ask me why, I gotta articulate an answer. And if that answer is not good, you're gonna say, okay, but why? So now it starts a path of knowledge where we're researching, where we're studying. So now I'm transforming my mentality to not push things away that I don't want to answer or don't have the knowledge of. But you ask that why question is transforming me to think about those whys before they even come. So now, as I'm coming up with something, what about this? And what about this? So now I have an algorithm to see what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I'm trying to make happen. I'm asking all these questions because I know that the questions are out there. So instead of having an incomplete work, it's complete to my knowledge because I've asked all of the whys that I can compound.
And I love both answers, but how does that help me create a better year? The next.
For me, I think this year, I think my why started. This is my third year to be this type of year for me because 2 years ago I said, bam, I'm doing this. And that's what I started to work towards. I stopped just sitting up there talking and I started putting things in motion. I think writing things down is good, but if you write them down and don't go back to them, don't research them, don't check them out, and don't go back to what it is that you said you were going to do, it's just you writing stuff on a piece of paper. But when you write things down and plan things out and look for the doing part of it more than you just look to the writing it down or whatever, that's where you can start a process. Because I think 2 years ago it was it was a tearing down year for me. I said, okay, I got to tear some things down so that I can build them up. Next year won't look like the third year because that's going to be a building year. I tore down, I'm building, and I'm looking for flourishing this year coming up.
So what I understand you saying is that having a transformational mindset, my ability to question certain things, ask why, so forth and so on, allows you to deconstruct or destruct some things so that you can construct some things or reconstruct them.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Before I turn you loose, brother, let me welcome Uncle Junior. Good to see you, brother, and welcome to the show.
Greetings, gentlemen. Greetings.
Yes, sir. All right, Gaddy, you have the floor, sir. Your thoughts.
So I don't want to say anything different than what Roland said, but just add to it the ability to adapt to those things, to those changes, um, or to that new set. Like I I know there's a word for it, and I can't think of it because this is you the mindset coach, so you can help me out. But when you start making changes and you start deconstructing or destructing some things and reconstructing or constructing new things in your life that you have never had in your life, it's easy to 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 allow yourself to be destroyed or be broken down because you don't know or you're not used to what's new in your life. And it hurts us. It's kind of like not being really taught or prepared or being healed from an old relationship, and then you start and you like, I'm dating new. I'm dating something different. I'm not dating what I used to date. I'm just using this for example. And then you go out there and you date a different type of woman who's nothing like what you're used to. Not from where you used to dating girls from your hometown. This girl is different. She moves different. She talks different. You get in that relationship. You're not used to the energy she brings, and you begin to unknowingly destroy that relationship because you haven't adapted to the new that's there. You're trying to treat that new type of woman like you used to treat the women you no longer want to date, or move in the same way that you used to move in those old relationships. So you have to be willing to allow yourself to adapt to what is coming, what's new, and what's coming into your life. I think that to me that I hope that answers the question of how does that help me have a better year.
Yeah, I think if I can just kind of paraphrase what you're saying, my ability to adapt will make it possible for this year to be a better year than the year I had prior to. Was that it? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Unc, I don't want to throw you in the fire too soon, bro. But if you're ready, okay, good to go. The question is, how would you describe the concept of a transformational mindset, and how can it aid me in creating a great year?
I first want to say hello to everybody and to the chat. And then I also want to readdress something that you probably already addressed at the beginning of the show. And that is that we are an expert of our own opinions. So a lot of times I think when we come on here, I don't want to make it seem like that I am right about every single question. I believe that, to anybody who's listening, you take all these perspectives into account and then you add them to the information that you already have and the information that you're going to acquire in the future. So this is just part of it. So I say that to say that sometimes when I answer these questions, I don't necessarily know the book definition or the quote unquote correct or right answer. These are just my opinions and what I think and my perspective. So now that I got that out of the way, how would you describe the concept for transformational mindset? First, this part right here, I can't help but not think about the Transformers, Bumblebee and Optimus Prime and different things like that. So Bumblebee changes from a person or a robot to a car and vice versa. But in between changing from Bumblebee, the walking person around, to the car, there is a whole bunch of different transformations that goes on between point A and point B, right? So I think that part of my concept for transformational mindset is that being aware that there are a lot of different changes and transformations on the way to the final goal or to the end result, or maybe never an end result. So, and then how can it aid me in creating a great year? I think when you have the ability, or when you understand that there is going to be change, there is going to be transformation, and some of these transformations and changes are not comfortable. Some of them are not fun, but they are part of the overall transformation process in getting from point A to point B. So if you have part of your mindset is understanding that process, that you're going to be transforming and there's going to be different things that goes along with it, I think that right there can help create for a greater year, whatever you decide is going to be great for you by the end of the year.
Man, I so love that response. I like the transformer analogy. For you guys who don't know who Transformers are, shame on you, right?
Shame on you. I was playing with them a long time ago as a kid.
Absolutely. Every young man probably knows what that is. But you're right. It's a lot of things working behind the scene that actually makes that robot turn into a car, or reverse the process. And I think that is very indicative of the things that we talk about when it comes down to the things that happen in our life. It's not like me waking up in the morning and say, hey, I want to have a great relationship, or I want to have this career go, whatever the case may be. Well, think about it. And I'm saying this because I've been watching The Resident, thanks to Roland. So in order for them to become medical doctors, there's years on top of years on top of years on. Yes, I'm sorry, Crystal. Yes, women know transformers too. I apologize. It's just not normal. That's all I'm saying. Most women don't, because they don't get into stuff like that. I apologize for that though. But there are years on top of years on top of years on top of years of schooling that they have to go through. And then once they finish school, they have to go through the internship. So that internship that they go through must be completed in order for them to actually become a medical doctor. And I think that's a great point when you brought up the transformers, because behind the workings that we don't necessarily see, there's a lot of gears that move and spin and all kind of other stuff in order to make that robot stand up, or make that robot form into a vehicle or airplane or whatever. But I think that's also what happens with us as well. We just don't view it that way. And so for me, A transformational mindset refers to a way of thinking that emphasizes growth, that emphasizes adaptability and continuous improvement. And the key being continuous improvement, because at the end of the day, it's not like I reach a certain point and then give up or quit. Once I reach a certain point of progression, I realize that more is available, right? Higher levels are available to me at that particular point in time. And that kind of goes back to those friends that we surround ourselves with, right? What Roland was talking about previously. It's like you be introduced to certain ideas when you get in certain environments. And then when you get in those environments and you are open to those new ideas, then you kind of change and then you realize that there's some other ideas that show up as well. So, given that notion, that idea being, growth mindset, being adaptable, being, what was the other one? Continuous improvement. Like when you look at those things, it's like stagnation is not an option. It never becomes an option for a person who has a transformational mindset. Even when they look different years later, they're still transforming because incrementally throughout the space of time, they're looking for better opportunities to grow. Those different growth opportunities put them in uncomfortable situations, and those uncomfortable situations make it possible for them to adapt, and then they're constantly seeking continuous improvement. And I think that kind of goes along with what everybody else is saying. Any other thoughts that you guys want to add before I start pulling information from the chat? Because again, they're putting some good stuff in there. Nope, all hearts and minds are clear. All right, very good. I'm gonna start with Brother Abe because I like where he went with it. He says, for me, transformational mindset allows me to view challenges as opportunities to learn new skills and stretch my abilities. I will not avoid challenges out of fear of failure. Bingo. Again, don't let new challenges in 2020 prevent you from moving forward out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone, that feeling of anxiety that you get, wants to keep you right where you are. Step outside of that. Be bold enough to push through that, right? Take that challenge on and stretch yourself. Whoever's trying to stretch you, allow them to stretch you as well. So that's another thing. Nick D said, I was taught that transformation always requires some sort of disruption. It requires a strategy and also active change. I can relate to that mindset shift. Remaining transformational aids in growth. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then his divine appointment said, it's a challenge, but a transformational mindset is a way of thinking characterized by openness to change, a commitment to growth, and a proactive approach to challenges and opportunity. Can I ask you guys something real quick based upon what you're saying? That proactive approach to challenges and opportunities. Like when you guys see that, what comes to mind?
Consistency, dedication, discipline.
Okay.
I think when you're talking about proactive, you're talking about kind of attacking something before it happens. So being in the right mindset, knowing that challenges and opportunities are going to come, and then being prepared for when those challenges and opportunities come.
I like that.
I think the hard part about the proactive part is the change because I don't and it's for me thinking about how do I get prepared to for the change that's coming if it's new, if I've never seen it before, right? Uh, and that's why I guess for me, and maybe it's an experience thing with me. So for me, that's why the word the ability to adjust was big for me. It's because the change is going to come, and am I willing to move with what's moving, to learn as it's changing and grow from it, or if I'm purposely making these changes, why am I not gathering information? So maybe that's the proactive part. So those are the things my mind goes to.
I do like that. Let me throw this in real quick. Miss Nodella says transform to changing composition and structure, right? And when we look at that proactive change, I think who was it? There it is. It's like going towards the discomfort. That's the
Here,
proactive. Go ahead.
here's a good one for that. All right. Sometimes change involves removing or distancing yourself from people. that can cause discomfort too. When you realize or that, maybe you guys haven't grown equally or even in the right directions, sometimes you have to have hard conversations and let people know that, our season is over, and I think, I heard you talking about, 2025 and stuff like that. I know it's in the title, but sometimes I just think that involves distancing yourself from people, and that's okay.
That's why I hit my button and hit the Michael Jackson song. You want to be starting something? Um,
Hey,
I'm
it's
okay with it.
2025. Sometimes we have people who are weights on us and they're holding us down. And that's not fair to ourselves. Like we should want to be in every relationship that matters to us. We should want to, and if we don't, like if I don't want to come up here on Fridays, I'm not gonna come no more. Like I'm like, Coach, look, I'm done. Like rolling good, Gaddy good, you good, but I don't want to do it anymore,
Right.
and that's okay. But
Yeah.
I like being here, so I'm just using it as an example.
But to that point, I want to turn it around because I don't want to make it seem not that with anything you said was wrong, because I am 100% aligned with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also will say it like this: sometimes your desire to grow can be a weight on somebody else because they have not made the decision for themselves to grow as well.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, sometimes we just got to be honest with one another and say, hey, you know what? This ain't gonna work because two people that grow in separate ways grow apart. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, I got one more. Oh, when rolling get done. This no, look, this back to my other point. Then I'll let Roland cook. Look, it's the same thing. Sometimes we need to keep people of discomfort in our life. That's hard too. When I know that Roland is going to challenge me to make sure that I get up and work, I need to keep him in my life. I don't need to say, oh man, why he always texts me at 5 o'clock in the morning, see if I'm working out. You know what I mean? He texts me at 5 o'clock in the morning because he's concerned about my health. So sometimes we need to keep some people in our life who are causing us some discomfort. Because like someone said, sometimes discomfort ain't always a bad thing. And sometimes it's a cause for change. I'm done.
I'm with you, and that's how it was when I used to try to go to the gym with him and Kenny. They'd be, them jokers got muscles on. They got muscles in their breath, and they sitting up there trying to make me push that weight up like that. But I'm stuck on this transform because I'm a word person, and I know a little bit of scripture. And that Romans 12:2 says about and be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, and that transform part. And when you look it up in the Greek, it's metamorpho. And metamorpho is where we get metamorphosis from. And a metamorphosis is a process that happens to a thing, an insect or whatever, that brings it to a stage where it hasn't changed anything but its nature. So its nature went from a caterpillar crawling around on a bunch of legs, and now it becomes a butterfly. So that's where we have to be. It may be uncomfortable sometimes to transform your mind, but that transforming changes you to where now you're not out there humming and bumming. You're not out there begging. You're not out there asking, but you change your mind to the point to where you don't want to go back there because your nature can't go back there. It just doesn't fit anymore. And some circles, like you said, some circles we won't fit in anymore. And that's fine with me going in 2025 because I'm realizing, like, why did I even want to fit in there? But that was for that season. But in this season coming up, I got to look for things that's helping me fly. I got to look for people that push me, that make me do better, that actually see success in me sometimes before I can see it in myself. So the transformation process is one of those things that, man, I may not like it all the time, but I guarantee I will like the end goal.
I'm glad you went there and you said all you had to say, so I can because I had pulled it up, and of course you would use it. Now, and I'll say this and I get out the way. I love everything you said, but right before that, it tells them to be not conformed to the things of this world. But then it says to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so it goes back to kind of what Coach was, or Unc was talking about, because some things I have to let go of in order for the transformation to happen. There's some people that, and what I've realized, right, is that when you begin to make the change and the transformation, there are people who are trying to latch on to you. Some of them are trying to be a part of the change while you do all the work, and some are trying to keep you the same so that you don't leave them behind. Right? Whether they know that they're doing that or not, but it happens. And it's often people that you don't want to hurt. It's people that you don't want to lose. It's people that you respect, or that you at least care about enough that you allow it to happen for a while, that it staggers you. You look back and you say, I thought 2025 was going to be my year. But in order to be ye transformed, you have to one, not conform. So don't conform to what's behind you and what's to the left, but transform to the change that you're embracing, to the change that you're going after. Whatever she said is like going after the discomfort. Go after that, and 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 it's gonna hurt, but I believe that when we fully develop and we fully grow, we'll be happy with the circle that the Most High has put around us. You know, at that time of change.
Another perspective of what you just said is that part of me is the thing that's trying to keep me the same as well. And so part of that transformation is to recognize that it's a part of me that is trying to stay where I currently am, but there's a future part of me to say, hey, you need to come on. But then that other part of me said, no, 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 I'm comfortable here. I want to stay here. I like doing what we're doing right now. But then the future self, like, and Unc, I'm stealing this out your book, by the way, just so you know. The future self's like, no, 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 come on, come on, come on. We got to go. You got to do something different. I've seen this. The saying that if a cat aspires to be a lion, then the cat needs to change its appetite for rats. And so, in essence, part of that being said is that some of the habits that we've created is the reason why we got the results that we currently have. So, if you really want different results in 2025, you're going to have to change your habits. There are no, there are, I don't have a magic potion. I don't have a pill. I don't have anything else to give you but that, because that thing right there, that by itself will literally create different stuff for you moving forward. Change the habits that you currently have into the habits that generate the results that you want, then I guarantee you, if you don't get those results, you will get closer to those results. Unc did a whole marathon. I promise you, he had to change some habits in order to get to completing that marathon. And even in his case, like he was always a runner. Unc, I don't want to talk too much for you, so tell me if I say anything wrong. He was always a runner, but he had to change some running habits to get to those distances that he needed to accomplish. So if he was in the habit of doing like 3 to 5 miles a day, eventually he had to ante up. He had to go a little higher than that. I need to go to about some 9 miles. I need to do 12 miles. I need to do 15 miles. So the incremental progression throughout time is what got him to complete a 26-mile run. And I think that's what it is. We have to restructure our mindset. We have to restructure like the conditioning that we currently have into the mindset and the condition that we currently want, so that we can achieve the level of success that we're looking for. And I think that's what crafting your best year is all about. So any other thoughts before we move forward? Nope. All hearts and minds clear. Well, gentlemen, you guys know just as well as we as a lot of other people know. And as we say this, it's going to become really clear, because I believe wholeheartedly that you have to inspect what you expect. Now, when I teach targeting to my students, one of the things I tell them is that you have to set the conditions for success before you implement the plan that you're putting into place. So once you define the assessment matrix moving forward, then that helps you to understand whether or not you achieve success. So that being said, redefining success equates to moving beyond traditional metrics. So when you think about your own definition of success, whether it's current or whether it was from the past, what unconventional metrics might you consider that truly reflects happiness and fulfillment? Unc, I think we're gonna drop this in your lap first, man, because the other two already had a chance to go first. And I know you're thinking, bro. So if you ain't ready, let us
Yep.
know.
Um, Man, when you think about when I think about my own definition of success, what unconventional metrics might I consider that truly reflect happiness and fulfillment? I think conventionally, people like to talk about, you know, I'm happy, um, I have all of my needs met. But I think one unconventional metrics is how people are with you. How do people respond to you? What do people think about you? Now, when you're talking about being a good person, then there should be a level, I don't know necessarily say a level of success, but there should be a level that, what's the word, that you're trying to achieve. Like you should just try to be better on a consistent basis, better every single day, right? So a lot of times when, like I said, a lot of times people thinking about conventional methods, what can you do for me? But I think sometimes it's what do people think about me? So like I look at success now in my relationships as not as how many times I necessarily reach out to Coach or Gaddy or Roland. You know what I'm saying? But it may be how much are they reaching out to me too. So I'm not saying that that is a definite, but I think this may be leaning towards that. I think that sometimes when people don't reach out to you, I think that may be a sign that you may not be as successful in that relationship as you may think you are. You may think that you guys have a good relationship, but maybe you guys really don't. So I don't know if I'm too far off, but for some reason I want to throw in relationships and something unconventional that we don't like to talk about, I think, is how other people actually look at you. A lot of time we say, I don't care what people think about me. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? But if you're defining your success when it comes to relationships and when it comes to your overall happiness and fulfillment, well, a lot of times happiness and fulfillment is you can't really, I'm not saying you can have it without relationships, but I think true happiness and fulfillment, you have to include relationships. So I'm going with the relationship matrix right here and kind of talking about the definition of success, and kind of how I feel about it. And I think it comes down to sometimes unconventionally how Roland, how Coach, how Gaddy actually think about me.
I don't think you're off at all, sir. And
Mm.
once everybody finished, I'm going to touch on that as well because I think I
Mhm.
agree with you 100%.
Now, that is not to say that me and Roland can't have a relationship and a great relationship where we only speak a couple of times a year. Don't mean the relationship is bad. It doesn't mean the relationship is not successful either. So I want to throw it in there before whoever else start gnawing on this bone.
Yes, sir.
So I guess when I think about what I'm trying to be successful with, right? Overall success, I think everybody's concept of that is slightly different, but you can be successful at a thing, right? Um, whether it's a skill, being an athlete, being whatever profession it is, don't make your life successful, but you're successful at that thing. Something that I wish I would have done uh, coming up, everything that I tried to learn, I tried to find those unconventional ways, right? Uh, do certain drills or do certain this, and add weight, add add a whole bunch of weight to my backpack and hike after work so my brain time can get faster than 13. That was my mindset as a young soldier. I can get close to 13 today. But but one of the things that helped me later on, right, when I needed to be able to get back into doing some things because I got older, my knees don't feel as good, but I still want to play basketball, whatever the case may be, is mastering the basics at a supreme level. I think sometimes we get good at the basics and we're ready to move forward. But, but what if I mastered the basics so much that my concept of the thing at its base level, I have a different view of it. So those extra things, those other things that as you start adding them on with time, becomes easier because your foundational uh, skill set is so strong, so practiced. Uh, and that's the thing. That's the thing for me. Anything that I do is like I want to practice the basics so much that the advanced things is harder to feel at. Like on the piano, I don't care how long you learn how long you've been playing. It's, everybody goes back and practice their skills all the way up. You master those skills because then when you start learning different skills, or you start learning the progressions, and you start learning these different chords, it's hard to fail when you're learning those things because the basics are always there to fall back on. Knowing the chords, knowing the scales makes it easy to learn the progression. But some people learn the skills and they learn how to go up, bam, now they move on to progression. So that takes a lot longer. So take your time, master the
So
basics.
you
And
so
I
you
think
just defined the
that
basics. Hold on, before you end, you just defined the basics for piano, like mastering the scales. What is the basics for life? Like if you're saying mastering the basics, and let's just say I'm 22 years old and I'm listening to you say that, and I don't necessarily understand what you mean. So can you kind of make the basics make sense to me?
like so if we talk about because Coach talks about relationships, right? If I think not just romantic relationships, right? But building relationships to me is fundamental in life, right? How about I mastered me, right? Instead of trying to, I'm a gifter, I'm always gonna be there. I'm gonna be the one that's doing. How about we just master having communication? All right. Some of my best friends from my childhood, we didn't do a whole lot of buying each other stuff and doing stuff for each other. We didn't get into some of us got into some fights together, but but for the most part, we hung out. We played video games. We spent countless amount of hours together. The basics is just the being together part, the knowing each other part, the talking, the community. Some I think you talked about reaching out to each other. Like we haven't mastered that. People, some of us we call ourselves brothers and sisters, but we don't talk to each other at all. That's the basics. And then when it comes to, oh, I want to be a gifter, I know what Coach likes. I can gift. I know now he said he don't like barbecue, so I ain't gonna invite him to a barbecue. I don't know what I'm inviting him to because I like to cook barbecue. But you know,
Said I didn't like
I think you
barbecue.
had said that one time, but it might have been joking.
You must have been
That
talking
might
to
have been
another
joking because
coach.
I talked about barbecue.
You talked to another coach,
Nah,
not this.
I can't remember what conversation we. But when we so for me that's a basic learning the art, learning to just communicate with those your relationship with. Um, like for me, it's just all based upon what do you value in your life for success. And so relationships, especially my relationship with the Most High, we try to complicate that. How about you just read your scripture and pray it once a day? Let's start there. Master that. Master doing that every day, morning or night. Master that. And I promise you, you'll understand the concept of fasting better. Everybody want to. Oh, I want to get a new relationship with God. I'm gonna fast for 30 days. You're gonna pass out. Your will ain't that strong yet. You might. I'm joking, but now you might be somebody who just don't eat that much, right? Okay, but how about you just master studying your word and praying? The basics. Do that every day.
Got it. Fasting after Christmas and Thanksgiving. Roland, what you got?
I think to the latter part of what you guys were saying, I think do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. I think when you can master that, as Gaddy was saying, when you can work on that, you want to be called, you got to call somebody sometime. And sometimes we don't want to be a burden to people. I don't want to nag you and everything, but just a text or whatever is just anything. Even you send a message on something and somebody see it, they you are on their mind. I think that sometimes you have to realize as you grow, because I'm doing the work on me. So you'll start to realize that some people are anchors and other people just hold you down. And there's a difference. An anchor holds you in place for a reason, while somebody just holds you down while you trying to move forward. They're just holding you back. Now, when it comes to the question at hand, I'm a person where I'm retired. So when Unc was talking about how people think of you, I was like, I don't care how people think of me, but I do. I care about how people think of me that I'm trying to be in relationship with. Because when I'm in relationship with people, it matters how you see me. I'm concerned if you see me in a negative light. I want to make sure that if there's a problem, we actually communicate it and we can rectify the situation so that we can be in good standing. So that's something that when I'm looking at success, success is being considered. Where if something is going on, whether I have to be on the panel or not, I'm aware because I was notified. I was considered enough to be notified. Hey, we doing this. So hey, just come check us out. So that I can support, because people that you are in relationship with want your participation, not just your money. They want your participation. Hey, show up. Hey, it's a number. It's you're there, because I think some people only want to be considered when they're on a big stage, when they can be seen, when they can have a voice. And so when the definition of my success is consideration, when you consider me, one, if you consider me your friend, when something is going on, I don't care if you have a kid, a grandkid, or whatever, and they have something going on, give me the consideration to say, hey, so I can say happy birthday or whatever it is. Say I can just be part, because to me, I don't have to. When I'm looking at, I don't call people friends. I call them family, because if I put you in my circle, that means you're family. You're not just a friend. I mean, friends are people that I had in middle school or whatever. But when you grow into a relationship where I want to see you do better, your family do better, that to me, that's family. And that's what I work towards. So my definition of success is consideration.
Okay. As I give my response, I want you guys to consider how you can measure that. Everything you just said. How do I measure it for myself? Because again, I started this off by saying we have to inspect what we expect. I think when we look at conventional metrics look like me smiling, me having fun, me doing all those things that make me feel good. And in my mind, like, sure, I may have felt good in that moment, but what was the thing that defined that? We may be enjoying ourselves and having fun, but what was the thing that defined that? How can I go back and measure it and recreate that? So when we start looking at unconventional metrics, I think we start looking at like how many times do I do a thing? Like I really do believe a lot of times what we do is and I use the shotgun reference all the time. We want to use a shotgun, but we turn it around and we look down the business end of a shotgun and think we're going to use it. So in essence, we mess relationships up because we make relationships all about me. When a relationship is all about me, I have literally just set you up for failure, because now the thing that I measure is how often you make me happy. And so when I do that, now you're doomed to fail because your responsibility is not my happiness. That's my responsibility. So when we start talking about unconventional metrics, like how many times do I do a thing in relationship? Like how many times, like going back to, I'm going back to Garfield's point. Like how many times do I do something for somebody else? How many times do I just reach out? How many times do we talk on the phone? How many times do we do this? Like when you're doing a thing, how many times do I like I do something to aid that thing that you're doing without you ever having to ask me, because that defines what my my involvement in the thing that you're doing. I measure my behavior in the spaces that I exist in. Therefore, me measuring my output should be the thing that goes back to my values. My values is the metric of success for me. And then based upon what those values look now I look at how many times I do that. I think somebody said, I'm gonna use this. Sister Nadella said, when a stranger compliments me on something I did, right? So the feedback metric now, because that helps me to see the things about me that I cannot see. The feedback is always welcome because the feedback adds value to what it is that I think that I'm doing. But the piece for me is the I did, right? I did this that lines up with my values. I did this that lines up with my values. Not because I'm looking for the compliment. I am looking for the unconventional metric of success that I have in my head based upon my understanding of that value. So now in the space of relationships, I show up to serve. In the space of going to work, I show up to do my job and help other people as I possibly can. In the space of like dealing with, younger kids, I look to add value so I can like expedite them along their growth pattern because I learned some things by trial and error and by, just reading and all of the other great stuff that can help them. So when I seek to help them as opposed to seek to be in help, now I can measure the success. Success for me is not the smiles and the fun. Success for me is how often do I get the opportunity to do the things that I know that support my values because my values come from the Most High. I don't just make them up as I go along. So now that helps me to view me and understand that I am in line with His will according to my day-to-day interactions.
I like that because to me, that what you're saying, that's my consideration. The consideration from them. So since I'm doing my part, now it's like, okay, I don't have to say it. They just consider me enough to say, hey, you part of this, come join in. You part of this. I'm gonna expose like you don't expose your family to everybody. I mean, because that's one of those things where like I used to have soldiers. I had daughters at the house, teenage daughters, and hey, can I come? No, what you want to come over my house for? I'm not exposing you to my. It's like no, I protect this, so I'm not gonna allow a wolf in the house. No, ain't gonna happen. But I think that what you're speaking of is how I see the consideration because when people are they see what you do for them as valuable, they consider you enough to say, hey, even if it's just, hey, man, thanks, I appreciate that, or whatever it is, that's success.
I like it. Any other thoughts, real quick? Okay. Looking at time, I do want us to talk about this, but by that same token, I want us to be real brief on this one and just give the strategies because I really want to get in the personal development plan for 2025. So, real quick, what strategies have you found most effective in building authentic relationships, not superficial relationships, that contribute to your personal and professional growth?
I think just that, being authentically yourself. I think when you know who you are, like that contributes, like when not because I know who I am, that helps aid in my personal growth because I know who I am and I do self-reflection. I can look at areas where I need to adjust or change in my life and then come up with a strategy, come up with a plan, and then proceed forward going towards some sort of growth goal. So
I like that. For me, it's understanding the type of relationships you're trying to build. Uh, for like when it comes to professional growth and even in your personal growth, for me, I'm not looking for relationships too much with people because of their profession, because of their, you know, their their level. That that's networking. Networking is a type of relationship, but it's not an authentic relationship because I'm networking because I want to have something in my pocket professionally just in case I need to pull it. I need to pull that card, but having just authentically having that circle, right? I know the kind of brothers that I want to keep in my circle and I'll keep around me. And I know that no matter what I'm going to go through professionally, I don't think anybody on here is an HR professional. Uh, but they're going to push me to get what I need to get when they know that there's an opportunity there. When Roland found out there was an opportunity for promotion, he kept checking on me. Hey, what's going on with that? Did you? I know you said you got to submit your resume. Did you apply for it? Did you do this? He kept me on my. Him just thinking about me and thinking about it kept pushing me to make sure my resume was updated so that when the position opened up, I was prepared for it. That was professional growth. So I don't need to. I think the strategy is just knowing what kind of friends you keep around you. For me, it's brothers who are authentic and who believe in the Most High, right? And we can grow from there, and we can build on that foundation. And and to me, that's a good strategy.
Well, Gabby, I got to disagree with your statement about the. I think when you're looking into people when they're in relationships, I don't think you can consider like me when I was on Fort Hood. I was one of those people that I knew everybody. I don't care what side it was on. I knew people and where to get things from. So when we're talking about the business side of communication and developing a relationship, I think we had a relationship built on trust. People knew that they could trust me. So I think that's a strategy. You got to be able to trust the person. When they can trust to see that you can facilitate their need. So when we're talking about whether that's personal or relational, you develop that. Even in the business side, on the business side, you develop that. So it's not always where someone is trying to sell you something. I think when you develop a relationship, like Ms. Nodella says, she's an HR professional and somebody else can be something else and whatever. So if there's a person in here that needs something HR related, we can channel them towards her. And if they develop a relationship where she helps them, assist them, and she's a stand-up person, now that can foster a personal relationship because they say, hey, this is someone that is trustworthy in this area, so maybe I can trust them in another area. So I think strategies when it comes to that, you got to build trust and you got to communicate what you mean. And I think sometimes people overlook that communication piece, and because they know they can talk. Just because you can talk doesn't mean you can communicate, because communication is one of those things where you got to accept feedback and you got to listen to what's being said and deliver what's necessary for that person to understand. I think some people, they can talk a good game and they can ramble off a bunch of words, but when it comes to communicating their thoughts and their feelings and their this, that, and the other, they get, it's a circle, and it starts with them and it ends with them. So I'm looking at it like, hey, these strategies, trust and communication, you got to add those into whatever relationship you're trying to build.
Okay. I will add real quick because when it comes down to this, I think when we stop seeking to create relationships with people because we think we can gain something, and then just create relationships with people for the sake of creating relationships, right? Meaningful relationships. And in doing so, we practice active listening, like you heard, which is a part of communication, being vulnerable, being empathetic, being consistent and reliable is another one that works well as well. Being open and honest in communication, invest time and effort, not just time. Be grateful and show appreciation, encourage growth. And another thing that I tend to say is mindful networking. And last but not least, being present. Being present is huge when it comes down to creating authentic relationships. Now, for the reason why I think that this conversation here is going to be impactful for people moving forward. And that means that this is probably the point that you want to take out your pen and pad. That said, make sure that you look at this over and over again, because I think these brothers are going to give you some insight as we talk about this. So as we're looking to um, create a personal development plan for 2025, what components do you believe are essential for creating a personal development plan that truly resonate with your goals, regardless of what their goals are, resonate with your goals and aspirations?
I'll start as the consistency coach. That's where I'm gonna start with. Part of the components that you need to have in any plan, in any goal, you need to have consistency. It's only with doing things over and over and over and over and over that it becomes second nature, and everything that we've accomplished in our life for the most part, it took some level of consistency. You know what I'm saying? To lift all them weights, to be a good singer, and even in negative ways. I'm just saying, you know, you got that mouth on you. You know how to cuss people out like it ain't no tomorrow. That took consistency. So even still, it works in other ways as well. But you know, you're developing a personal development plan. First of all, I think, well, not first of all, one of the things I think you need to have is a consistency. I think another thing is that you need to have very well thought out goals. A lot of times, you know, just beginning of the new year, a lot of times people are saying, hey, I'm going out there and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna start losing some weight, or I'm gonna go to the gym every single day. I think you need to really think about those goals realistically, and think about what those goals entail, and are they really attainable? You know, and most of our goals, a lot of time they are. And I think it's even okay to put some goals on our schedule that we do not think we can achieve, because I think that right there causes discomfort and forces us to do things as well. So I think, you know, consistency is one. And what, oh, when I say I forgot that fast, but the other one, whatever one I said.
Thought out goals.
Oh man, I'll think about it later. I've been on the road all day, man. I went to work and then got on the road, so I apologize for my forgetfulness, but I think y'all still got the point. You can go back and give y'all an excuse to go back and rewind it and see what I said.
You
You
said
got it.
thought out goals.
Okay, throw it out goals. Yeah. Thanks, appreciate that.
All right, who's next?
I can't
I
tell
think
if he was
knowing,
getting ready to go. Yep.
well, I'm thinking knowing your why. You got to know why you're doing the thing. So components about, you know, essential for personal development. Why are you doing this? Why are you involved in this? Why are you here? Because if you're just here to take up space, and that's not a plus. Some of us have survivor's remorse or whatever, so we look to people that are in situations and we try to build them, and we don't have a love for it, so we're doing it out of a routine or something like that. So knowing your why you're involved in a person's life, why you're involved in the community, that'll help you tremendously to where you can have some effective communication, effective building, and you can start building your blocks to where you see, like, man, I'm sitting up and I'm not just here. I'm actually a part of something. I'm helping build this thing, and not just I'm not just there waving from, you know, waiting for the Super Bowl and then I wave.
Um, I try to keep everything into to quick small points. Right. First thing for me is when because we're talking about personal development, developing me. Right. And so the first thing is not just focusing on that thing, coach. I mean, I keep saying coach, and I mean I don't know why, but Unc did the marathon, right? Unc was running however many miles, and the miles was getting larger, larger, larger until it came time for the marathon. But Unc wasn't only developing his body, because your mind has to be strong as well in order to endure those miles. And so I tell people, I think when it comes to your growth, focus on your soul, your relationship with the King, with the Most High. Focus, then develop your mind, right, and develop your body. Because I promise you, if you can work on all three, it creates a better version of who you are as a person. Now, when I start doing the other things and studying the thing that I'm trying to grow at, I'm receiving it differently because it's going into a new vessel. It's not the same vessel I was. I'm I promise you when your mind is developed, you think different, right? When your body is healthy, you move different. Not just agility, but the way you move, the way you carry yourself is different when you take care of your health and your body. So those things are important. Then lastly, the not lastly is more, but I'm not going to go through everything. But the thing that you're trying to grow in your personal development, uh, for me at least, I find that it's effective to consume that thing, uh, not only but a lot. Right? What I mean is, I'm reading books on the things. I'm listening to videos or podcasts while I'm driving on the thing. 'Cause I really want to get it into my mind that this is where I'm going. That this is possible. That this is is my future. This is my goal. It's getting done. Versus just trying to take a course here, take a course there. That can become mundane. But if you get it into your mind, if you can think on that thing, uh, as well as the other stuff, I think those are some really good components that'll help you see your goals achievable.
I like that. I like this, and my response is probably going to sound a lot similar to a response that I gave one time before. I think it's important for everybody to assess where they are. Right? It is important for you to have an assessment of where you are because a lot of goal accomplishment doesn't it's not about the skill set and it's not about anything else external to me. It is more so about the mindset that I currently possess that is preventing me from doing the things that I need to do. So I think a lot of us would do well to start off with assessments. That's one of the reasons why I always start off a coach assessment first with an assessment. Um, I think it's also important for us to have vision, like visualize the thing that you claim that you want, right? If you cannot see the thing that you want, then how do you know if you're ever going to achieve the ultimate aspirations of that thing? So it's important for us to not only visualize it, but have a vision statement as it pertains to it. I think I've seen somebody make mention of writing a vision and making it plain. I think that's an important concept that we all need to adopt. So if we have a vision of what we want, create a vision statement for that thing. I also think at that point now, once I have a vision of the thing, to like Unc said, I need to have clear, concise goals. Once I have clear, concise goals or milestones that lead to accomplishments of it, right? So set the goal, then the milestone, right? And because that kind of helps me walk my way to the goal. This kind of gets after what I think Lisa Keys says, start with what you want and then work your way backwards. In other words, reverse engineer your goals, right? If this is the goal, right? And of course, you can have multiple goals. You can have a goal here, a goal here, and a goal here. And then you reverse engineer each one to the next subsequent goal. So now you have a good starting point for where you are. I think that's also another important thing for us to kind of like digest and comprehend. The benchmarks that lead to the milestones now become the action steps that I need to do in order to get there. So, well, let me back up. The benchmarks that lead to the milestones are like incremental points to where we can pat ourselves on the back. So we incrementally celebrate all wins in the direction of each milestone, and then celebrate milestone accomplishment to the goals. If we can do that, that keeps us moving forward. That's why motivation tends to wane because we have not established and created goals effectively. Now, continuing, it is important to have action steps per milestone. I mean, yeah, per benchmark. I'm sorry. Once we have action steps, it tells me the things that I need to do in order to get to each benchmark, and from the next benchmark to the next benchmark, so forth and so on. Um, I think it is important for us to also understand that learning takes place throughout the course. So it's not just the learning that I'm going to encounter incrementally throughout the space of time in direction of action steps to benchmarks. It is also the learning that Gaddy talked about just now. Like I got to consume it. I got to kind of, spend time with it, figure it out, so forth and so on. But I also need to have a good support system. If I surround myself with a bunch of people that tell me that I can't do a thing that I'm trying to do, that's probably not the people that I really want to be around. So the support system is very important. And this point now I go back to the point of inspect what you expect, right? You need to have regular reviews with yourself or whoever your coach is, and you need to have regular self-reflection points set up within the accomplishment of your goals as well. I can't leave out mindset because I think mindset is probably one of the most important things that we do. Because at the end of the day, if I don't have the right mindset for where I'm trying to go, I'm never going to get there. And then last but not least, I think it's important that we all understand balance is important. If I am super consumed with a thing and I don't have any other, like if I don't have another method to kind of blow off steam, to kind of let my hair down, relax or whatever in the celebration phase, then celebration at that point looks like more of the exact same thing that I'm doing, because the habits that I created in the route of goal accomplishment will kind of have me stuck in the work cycle. So I just keep working because I'm super excited about the goal that I'm getting closer to. So I go forward and I'm like, oh, I got time. I need to do this. I got some more time. I need to do that. No, I need to balance that out because balance helps me to be a more well-rounded individual. So I think I kind of incorporate everything that you guys already said and just added some more to that. So again, if you were taking notes, I know we may have went through it kind of fast, but at the end of the day, I think you will find that this will help you to create the goals that you want to create for 2025. Um, I want to kind of get one more question in before we go. I know we're getting close to time, but one more question, and this is all about embracing change and uncertainty, the path to growth. So, what lessons can we draw from past experiences of uncertainty that can help us approach the future with confidence and resilience? And now this is keeping in mind for those of us who did not accomplish what we wanted to accomplish in 2023 and 2024, right? Some of the things that we may have encountered, we may have felt disappointed, whatever the case may be. So I'm asking this question with intention because for me, I want to share with everybody, don't beat yourself up for not accomplishing what you wanted to accomplish. So that said, what lessons can we draw from past experiences of uncertainty that can help us approach the future with confidence and resilience?
One lesson we can draw from past experiences of uncertainty is that um, we have to, I'm not saying be super lenient on yourself, but give yourself some grace and understand that sometimes our goals need to be adjusted. Sometimes we may not have the information at the current moment to create those goals, or we may not have a real thought out plan for those goals, and maybe that's why it's failed. Sometimes, what can we draw from the past experience? Maybe we can draw maybe going back and revisit it and seeing why those things failed, or we can draw the ability to understand that things are going to happen. And we also can draw from past experiences is that even though we may not have accomplished everything, that if you are still alive today and listening to the sound of our voice, you still have an opportunity. A lot of times we say we're too old for things, yada, yada, yada. So I think, some of the lessons we can draw from past experience are some of those things. And I think all of those can kind of help us approach going towards the future with confidence, understanding that, you know what, I may not, in the whole transformation piece, getting from point A to point B, I can be okay. You can still have confidence that you're going to be a bunch of different changes that may happen on the journey between point A and point B. And you can still be confident that you can still reach your goal, because ups and downs and ebbs and flows are just part of the process. And it helps you be more resilient too. The more things you go through, the more resilient you are. You know, we talked, I don't know if I'm Coach Corner or something, but we was talking about how, you know, people like us who've been in the military and experienced death at a certain scale, you know, you kind of go through the grieving process a little bit faster, become a lot more resilient. So the good thing about things from the past experiences is sometimes they help you build resilience for things to come in the future.
For me, I think when it comes to just lessons that I draw that we draw from the past, I think every setback, success, or what have you in our lives, we could think back on them. It's how we think on them. To me, that helps us use it for success or for our future moving forward. So there's a lot of things that I saw and I experienced in the professional world and in the personal world that I had to learn to watch out for. Um, but then there's some things where it's like, well, I don't like it, but if I learn that person, if I learn why the people behave the way they behave, and I learn how to maneuver, not just trying to avoid those type of people, especially professionally, it helped me become a better leader because I thought about people, about their behavior towards me, but I thought about the whole scenario, and then I began to try to figure out why they moved that way, why did they react that way. So I think I don't limit myself to what lessons in my past that I can learn from. It's how I think on them, how I use those lessons. Um, uh, but understand understand those things. I think the first person you got to be vulnerable with yourself. 'Cause sometimes we like to block stuff out that happened in the past. But be vulnerable with yourself and embrace that these things are part of your story. They're part of your past. They're part of how you got to where you are today. So that one, you don't end up falling back in that trap, and two, you don't become. Uh, I think we like to, what's the word I'm looking for? But we just block anything off that may look like it because we become bitter because of things that have affected us negatively and our lives. Instead of learning from them and growing from them, I'm not going to cut everybody off that looks like this because the last person that looked like this did me wrong. Uh, I'm not going to avoid going back to school because I had a bad experience. I think Coach said he was a second time go and had a bad taste in his mouth the first time and could have said, I'm never going back to any school learning anything because I can learn it on my own. We wouldn't have this podcast right now. But I'm just saying, don't let it make you bitter. Grow from it, learn from it, and use it. And how do I walk confidently? Because I know that every day that I woke up, I had an opportunity to correct a thing, to let a thing go, and to try something new. So because it didn't work the last time, don't mean it ain't gonna work this time. Every time I go in there, I know regardless of the outcome, I'm gonna be all right.
I think for me is make realistic, attainable goals because you know who you are, but don't hold yourself back because of what you did in the past. Sometimes we can have mistakes that happened in the past and we say, well, I know I can't do this. But apparently you've grown enough to be aware that you made that mistake. So now going forward, how do you move? What do you do? What do you bring to the table now? When you know self, now you know what you can actually attain with the right work, with the right people around you, with the push behind you. So I think making realistic, attainable goals and knowing who you are, knowing what you can attain with your team, I think that's where I stop with that.
Yeah, I love all that. I think for me, I'm gonna keep it real simple. The lessons that I can draw from past experiences of uncertainty is to understand where I rejected the goals that I've made for myself. A lot of times we say that we want to do a thing, but we don't have any evidence that come from our own activity to support the fact that we want to do the thing that we say we want to do. Like look at like Unc said consistency earlier, right? Look at how consistent I was in the direction of the goal that I accomplished. Like if I don't have any consistency in that vein, then I don't necessarily really want that goal. So I need to go back and look at the things that I did in conjunction with that. So again, we went a little over. Greatly appreciate you guys for staying with us. But as always, this kind of brings us to our bittersweet moment where we will have our final thoughts.
Wow. So crafting your best year yet, it's possible if you believe it. Anything that you do not believe is going to happen, you will not work towards, and it will not happen. It will not manifest. Right? Manifestation is just the byproduct of the work that is put in. Right? Um, that's what I believe. Right? I'm not going to argue about it. Right? But go after it. Know who your support team is. Lean on them, and if you're part of somebody's support team, support them. Sometimes the best things in our lives are watching or working with or helping our friends and our family achieve those goals. It's a celebration when you win because when you win, the team wins a little bit, right? And now I got the blueprint because you won, I can go win, right? So however it works, my final thought is nothing crazy, but go after it and support one another. We all got something we're working towards. Let's get there. This is your year. All praise to the Most High. Let's be great.
Set goals. You got to set new goals. Even if they didn't work before, if you still want to do something, make sure you set it and make a plan. Make a plan so that you can enforce it and stick to it. Because if you can't stick to the small things, you're not going to garner any attention when it comes to the major things. And I'm a person where I watch people where if you do something or if you I see a flaw or a mistake and I notice that I may have that same thing, it's just like if you see somebody with chapped lips, your instinct is to lick your lips or get your Carmex or whatever it is and correct the problem. Sometimes in life, we got to look at people and what they're doing and look at their mistakes. And because they aren't in your life, in your lane, and you know where you're trying to go, and you may come across something like that, and you saw it before, you saw their mistake, make the necessary corrections and adjustments so that you won't have that same situation that they had. And make sure your team is one that can push you and you can push them, and also that where you can be heard as well as they are coming with sound counsel. Because if they aren't coming with sound counsel, if it's just a bunch of rhetoric and just a bunch of, well, I think you should do this, then they are looking at what's best for them and not you. So when it comes to this year, make your plan and stick to it.
Wise person once said, faith without works. Y'all know the rest of that. 2025, we're here now. We're talking about making it unforgettable. At the end of the day, the word goal, so if we want to make something unforgettable is our goal for the year at the end of the day. So I want to just say this small little talking point. The word goal is a noun, but I think in order for you to make 2025 unforgettable, I think you have to turn that noun into an action. I think it's going to be a lot of different action steps that's going to go into whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish this year. Even if it is to lose a certain amount of weight, it's going to take the action in going to a gym or starting a plan or hiring a personal trainer, action, going to the gym, action, eating right, action, So I know the word goal is a noun, but I think that if you want to make your 2025 unforgettable, you need to turn that word goals from a noun to an action. That's my final thought.
To keep it simple, I think for me, it's only fitting that I address the mindset. Um, Whatever mindset you had in 2024, you should not have in 2025, especially if you're planning on progressing and pushing yourself to the limit so that you can achieve said goals. I don't believe that we should set goals that we know that we should accomplish. I think the aspiration should be something way out there, something way out there, and then back yourself up and set goals incrementally to get there. And those incremental goals will get you to the point of accomplishing the aspiration. Like I said before, most people may start off and say they want to be a medical doctor, but they don't end there. Once they achieve medical doctor, they go on and they want to have like their own medical practice. And so ideally for that person, they may want to start off with the aspiration of owning your own medical practice. But when they back up, they say, okay, get my MD, get my residency here, whatever the case may be, finish school by this time, finish, undergraduate by this time, so forth and so on. And so ideally what we should do is reshape this thing that has placed the limitations on us that prevent us from not only pushing forward to attain certain goal, right, but believing that you can do it in the beginning. And I think when we do that, I think we'll get to the point to where we realize that you can accomplish way more than what you currently think you can accomplish right now. And that's my final thoughts for this conversation. So I think it's important moving forward, again, for everybody that's listening. I want to say it again. I think every person that's listening to this right now, whatever you believe that you can do, I guarantee you that you can do beyond that. The only reason that you believe that right now because that's your current mindset. So get in cahoots. That's the word I'm gonna use. Get in cahoots with people who stretch your thinking, stretch your limitations, stretch you beyond what you believe that you can actually think. And I think you will find that 2025 will be an amazing year. And I'm believing that for everybody. I am believing that for everybody on this panel, everybody who is listening, everybody who's going to listen to the replay. I think 2025 can be an amazing year, but you must first decide it's going to be an amazing year for you moving forward. So that said, we greatly appreciate you guys. We think you're awesome. As always, we look forward to these times where we can come together and connect with you. And again, as the first show of the year, again, we hope that this information has been valuable to you. It actually gets you off on the right foot. And on behalf of the gentlemen on this panel, let the best version of yourself be a blessing to somebody else. See you guys.